Welcome to time 414. You'll notice today I'm a little more casual, recovering from gallbladder surgery, and it happened a little bit quicker than planned, so I didn't have time to do up my videos ahead of time, so you get the more relaxed healing me. This is actually the first time I've sat at my desk since 5 days now. So recovery is going well, but this is just a great kind of segue into what I wanted to talk about today, which is changing plans, specifically rules, because I can tell you that when my teenagers were preteen or, any age, even younger teen, sometimes like the year before the teenage year I was dealing with, I had in my head how things would go, right? Don't we do that? Like when our kids are this age, it's going to be blah, 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 blah. And it doesn't always happen that way, does it? We have it in our head that when our kids are this age or whatever, this life thing happens, that it's going to happen this way. And we set the rules in our head and we think we're good. Like we got a plan, right? So we are ready. And then that season comes and it's not as black and white as we thought. In fact, the majority of life happens in that gray area. And that gray area is where we sometimes might feel lost or feel like we don't know what we're doing, which is, a lot of parenting. But I think the thing that can save us here is if we acknowledge now that the plans that we set and the rules that we set for when they hit this certain age or for when they're at this certain phase in life, those are the beginning plans, the beginning rules. That is, we've made the best decision with the knowledge that we have at the time. But then our knowledge changes, so our decision should change too. There's this ancient, antiquated idea that a parent's rule should be a rule and it should never change, because if it changes, then the parent shows weakness or something. I'm not even sure what it would show. That we're human, we're allowed to show that. Our kids are allowed to know that. So I can tell you right now, in this house, of my 4 children, 2 are now past teenage years and 2 are in teenage years still. Of the mix of the 4, 2 of them are technically adults that live in this house. And I had plans and rules and how this was going to go when they got to be adults and out of school and what it was going to be if they still lived in this house. And there were things like rent and, chores and all the things. And those things are important. But here's the flip side of that. It doesn't happen like that. One of the adults is here, and some decisions that were made that appeared wise and weren't, had all of their savings gone. So I could charge them rent for being here, and that would be like the hard life lesson, practical thing to do. Or because this is still home and I am still mom, we changed the rules. And okay, we're not going to charge you rent, but you have to be working on improving your situation. You need to have a budget. You need to have a savings goal. You need to have all of these things. And while you're here, you do need to be contributing. You do need to be doing chores. If we ask you to pick up something on your way home, you pick it up. And it's not rent. And I had sworn up and down it was going to be rent. But that shifted. The plan shifted because it wouldn't help them. It would hurt them. And while I do want them to be responsible and I want them to learn about life and all of these things, here at home is supposed to not just be the hard crash course of life, but it's supposed to be where you can regroup and heal when life gets a little too hard. So yes, the things that paying rent would teach, like responsibility, like being responsible with your money, those are still things that we're after while they're in this house. But it's not in the form of rent. And this side of 10 years ago, I was worn up and down it would have been rent. But we get to these places, we learn differently, we know different things, so the rules have changed. So when the rules change, there's a few key aspects to have in place. We communicate. This rule is changing. You've heard this, okay, but we're changing it. So we state that, right? We don't let it be a mystery. We don't leave the teenager wondering when they think we might remember, if they think we've forgotten. We don't want them sitting there wondering when the other shoe is going to drop. We don't want to create ambiguity and anxiety. We want this very clear. So this was the rule. we're changing it. And we're going to say why. We're changing it because we saw this rule would hurt you. And that's not what we want. But the way we made the rule in the first place was because we thought it was important for you to learn X, Y, Z. And so we're changing this rule to this new rule in which we still think you're going to learn X, Y, Z in a way that will help you. So you'll learn the lesson and it'll be good for you and everybody wins. And we make this very clear. So this was the old rule. We're changing it. This is why we're changing it. This is the new rule, the expectations. And so far with this, especially when they're older teenagers, I haven't had to lay out, this is what'll happen if you don't follow the new rule, because they're older now. They get it, right? They see this is their chance at mercy and a second chance. Maybe, I don't know if you call it a second chance since we never got to go through the first one, but this is their chance to make things better. And they want things to be better. But if you have a teenager where you have to lay out what will happen the next steps if they don't follow the new rules, then you lay that out. And again, we haven't had to do that because this has been very intentional changes. There's been communication and they understand this is for their good and they want their own good. So thanks for coming. This is about all I can say. Sitting up and change is ever present. And now I'm changing and going back to bed.